ChatGPT's starting to be a game changer for me.
Bro,
like crazy.
I use it every day.
Have you built out, well, you have a bunch, but have you built out like your own personal assistants?
Oh, dude, I have nutritionists. I have my ChatGPT. I have a nutritionist on there that knows my macros and everything I want to eat. It's like I used to track all my macros on my FitnessPal and stuff. Now I just take pictures of what I'm eating and it automatically tracks the macros. And then towards the end of the day, if I need to hit a certain level of stuff, I take a picture of what's in my fridge and I take a picture of my pantry and it tells me what to eat.
What?
And now, Escaping the Drift, the show designed to get you from where you are to where you want to be. I'm John Gafford, and I have a knack for getting extraordinary achievers to drop their secrets to help you on a path to greatness. So stop drifting along, escape the drift, and it's time to start right now. Back again for another episode of the podcast that gets you from where you are to where you want to go. And man, it's kind of in vogue right now, and I keep hearing a lot of it, and it's thanks to people like Cody Sanchez that are talking about buying businesses and doing these things. And there is so much money in home-based businesses. And I'm talking about not home-based businesses necessarily, home services businesses is what I meant to say. Home-based would be like selling Amway. Home services businesses, is there so much money? So I said to myself, I want to have somebody home services on. I've had some of the greats on through here. Tommy Mello's been through here. Just some of the greats have been through, but I wanted to get, it's kind of hard if you're starting out to listen to a dude like Tommy Mello that's banging out, $200 million. And I said, let's get somebody that's doing extremely well, that's a little closer to the starting line than the finish line, and get a little bit different perspective for you. If you're out there listening, thinking, I want to start a business, and even if it's not a home services business, if you're just getting started in business, I wanted to hear kind of some of the lessons, because this dude's doing it well, man. He has gone really fast to taking something that, you would hear and say, that's a little silly, into a real business, man, that's doing well. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. This is Robert Eisenstadt.
Thanks for having me.
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Means Iron City in German, we just learned. That's what we learned. He is the proprietor of Property Pros, which is a pressure washing business. And I know you're thinking, this dude's out doing people's driveways. And is that where it started?
No, actually.
No, you went right for the big stuff, right out of the box.
It kind of fell in my lap. I started with a chain of gas stations.
Okay.
But I started my business as a carpet cleaning business.
So you started that. Well, let's go back up a little bit, because most great entrepreneurs are, I like to think, the nature versus nurture, and most of them are made, not born. It is what it is. So tell me about you growing up, dude.
Yeah. So, I was born in Chicago, Illinois, middle-class household. Dad was always at work. Mom stayed at home. When I was 8 years old, we moved to Vegas because my aunt was starting to get sick, my dad's sister. So we moved out to Vegas. Both of my parents they sold shoes. So they worked at Nordstrom literally my entire life. We moved out to Vegas, and it was just kind of like this crazy roller coaster of death since as soon as we moved here. His sister died, all my cousins started dying, and then all of my friends started dying. And this is like over like how? I don't really remember how my aunt passed away or my cousins passed away, probably heart attacks or something.
Mm-hmm. How did your friends start dying?
So when I was 17 years old, my best friend growing up, it was the first person I met when I moved to Vegas. He committed suicide by a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Jesus. I was with him 3 hours before, and I found him 2 minutes after he shot himself. He did it in our neighborhood park.
Oh my gosh.
Me, my ex-girlfriend, his mom, and his sister found him. And at 17 years old, it was like extremely gory. It really messed me up for a long time. I mean, I couldn't walk in the dark alone for 6 months. I mean, I could still to this day, like, picture his shoes were set perfectly, what he was wearing. Like, I could picture everything. It was very traumatic.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Less than a year later, my other closest friend died on a street bike. He hit a City of Henderson vehicle. A City of Henderson vehicle pulled out. He hit he T-boned the car, went through the windshield, hit the B pillar, which the B pillar is where like your seatbelt comes out.
Yeah.
Broke almost every single bone on his body, degloved his arm. So basically his arm got skinned.
Oh, gosh.
By the time I got there, I saw his bike on the ground. I was like the second person there. His shoes, all that stuff. Went to the hospital. By the time I got to the hospital, his nose was completely flush with his face. It was crazy. There was like blood all over the hospital room. It was nuts.
Oh God.
He died, I think, twice on the way to the hospital. And then obviously, there was.
It's a lot for a kid to take in.
Yeah. And then I think a few months later, another good friend of mine overdosed. The other closest person I grew up with also overdosed. All these people were getting into drugs and doing all this crazy stuff. And
is that never really your thing?
No.
Never your thing.
Not really. I mean, everybody's tried stuff or whatever, but I don't think I really have a super addictive personality.
Yeah.
So,
were you a good student? Like in high school?
No, dude, I was terrible. Horrible. I hated school. I hated school. I was getting in fights all the time because I was getting bullied. Which is so funny too. Like all the people that get bullied in school always end up doing well in life. And then all the bullies, I got in a fight in my high school locker room or whatever. Some dude was drawing a swastika on my locker. I ran and tackled him or whatever. Got in a fight. Got suspended, got kicked out of school, whatever. And, he ended up passing away. I don't know from what, probably a drug overdose.
Yeah, dude, I tell my kids all the time, they don't have a lot, my kids don't have a lot of trouble at school, but every now and again, you'll have somebody that does, kids are terrible. Yeah. Like, all of your anti-bullying stuff, like school not working, kids are still terrible. They will always be terrible. They're just terrible. And when my kids deal with something that's just dumb, I always tell them, like, listen, here's the truest thing I've heard. The people that are giving you the most grief, this is the highlight of their life. They're like 17 years old, and this is it. Like they're the ones 30 years from now are they going to be going to every high school reunion, reliving the glory days, baby. And it's going to be like, so don't worry about it, right? Coming up, if that's something that's happening to your kids, just always remind them of that. I love that.
I mean, those people are just struggling so much internally.
Yeah.
That they don't know how to deal with their emotions.
Well, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their shortcomings,
for sure.
Is what it is. Nobody ever tries to, nobody ever hates down. You know what I mean? They always try to pull the people they perceive above them down. And so that's how it works. What was the first hustle for money, man?
Selling weed.
Was selling weed?
But dude,
weed.
I wasn't smoking it. I was just selling it. I've always wanted money. Like I was the kid that, again, we did okay.
Yeah.
We had a roof over our head. We had food on our table.
But if you wanted, you had to go get it.
Yeah. Like we didn't have extra money.
Yeah.
And so like I see all my friends with bikes and, all this stuff growing up. I didn't get that. We had toys. It just wasn't always the best. And I've just always wanted the best. And so as soon as I could, dude, I probably started selling pot at 14, 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And then I turned into the guy that started paying for everybody to do everything because I wanted people around me and, whatever. Until I got too big for my bridges and learned a lot of lessons. So that was kind of like my first hustle.
Did you voluntarily leave the industry, or was there an intervention?
I learned a lot about finances at that point too. Like I was getting fronted, what it was called,
Yeah.
And I spent some money on a street bike that I shouldn't have spent. And then there was threats and all this kind of stuff. And I had to like go to my pops and be like, hey man, I need to borrow some money. This is like kind of serious. And so he lent me the money and I was done.
Yeah. I'm trying to teach my kids about credit a little bit different way than that. My kids carry credit cards and, they charge all the stuff that they want through the course of the month, but on the first of the month, they have to pay for it. And if you're short, I'd use some 25% interest or whatever they're short.
Yeah, dude.
And they, you only pay 25% interest a couple of times before they're like, damn, this sucks.
Yeah.
And so now it's very much within their means of what they earn.
That's why I only use American Express now.
Yeah.
Like the charge cards, like the platinum and the gold or whatever for the benefits, but it's a charge card. It's not a credit card. So I'd pay it off at the end of every month.
Yeah, dude. If you're not paying your credit cards off every 2 weeks, you're doing it wrong. Okay, let's talk about this. So you obviously didn't excel in high school. So there was college was not necessarily on the horizon for you. So did you always go out and just right into the carpet cleaning, or did you have a couple terrible jobs where you're terrible employee?
I had quite a few jobs. So 11th grade, I got pulled out of school because of my anger problems in high school. I tested out. I got my GED, my good enough diploma. Mm-hmm. And I wanted my diploma. I missed one question, didn't get it. So I had to go get a job. My first job was at Del Taco.
Okay.
Yep. And it lasted about a week. I've never been good with authority. Mm-hmm. And I find that with most entrepreneurs, but I've never been good with authority. It lasted about a week. I quit. I went back to selling weed again. That
tried and true.
Yeah, it lasted like a little bit until I ended up getting a job as a photographer for some attractions, like up on the stratosphere at the top, the zip lines. Then I became a tour guide for the zip lines, like the flight lines out in Boulder City. They're closed now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever got a chance to do it, but it's awesome.
The flight lines where?
In
Boulder City. Yeah. No, I never did.
It's closed now, but it was really cool. It was a great job. And then I ended up becoming a lot porter at a Ford dealership. And from the lot porter, I went to a lube tech pretty quickly. And then from there, I went to a service advisor. Mm-hmm. And the service advisor was the last job I ever had. And by that time, so when I was 20 years old, my parents got divorced. My mom moved to Florida. Mm-hmm. When I was 21 years old, it was a Saturday, November 8th, 2014. I was at work, and that's the day my dad died. So I was 21 years old. I was at work. I got a phone call from his boss, and my dad was always a hard worker. His boss calls me on my cell phone. I didn't even know she had my number. Calls me and goes, "Hey, your dad never showed up for work today. He's never missed a day in the 30 years, whatever."
Yeah, we're worried about him.
I just want to make sure he's okay. And I'm like, that's weird. So I call my ex, who was at my house that night, because I had work super early. And I was like, "Hey, is my dad still there?" And she goes, "I don't know. I already left." I'm like, "Hey, can you please go back to my house and see if my dad is still at the house?" She pulls up to the house, walks into my dad's bedroom, and she goes, she calls me and she goes, "Robert, your dad's not waking up." And so it's kind of a blur.
Yeah.
But I called 911, didn't say anything to anybody. I left, went home. By the time I got to my house is full of cops and paramedics. And so he suffered his third heart attack and passed away in his sleep. Thankfully, he was like peacefully, Yeah. And they gave me like 4 or 5 days off of work, but it wasn't enough. I mean, it was just me and my dad. He was upside down on his house. I was helping him cover bills. And so I have all this stress of a funeral, where I'm going to live, all this stuff. I tried going back to work for 2 days. All I could do was sit in my office and cry. And I'm like, "Dude, I'm useless here." And they're like, "Sorry, we need you here." And I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry. You could pound sand. I'm done." So I quit and went to Sedona, Arizona for a few days, cleared my head, and just told myself I'll never let anybody tell me what I can and can't do ever again.
Dude, it's so interesting because you hear that story. There's a lot of tragedy in that from the time you were 17 and this terrible stuff you saw, and now you're 21, and that so many people, man, would just have gone in the tank at that point. You hear these stories like, well, this is the reason, this story is why I'm a complete screw up, right? You hear this. This is the justification for my behavior in being a drug addict and being self-sabotaging behavior that just gets me nowhere. So what is the difference in you think, that made you take that and use it as fuel instead of as luggage?
It's just perspective, man. Everything in life is just perspective, right? You can look at a situation and think, woe is me, or you could just be a victor out of that pain, right? So it's I've seen throughout the tragedy, I've realized the main thing is I know that I could die tomorrow. I could leave this podcast. I could die on the way to my office. I have a very clear understanding of that, right? So it's why wouldn't you try? Why wouldn't you try and do something great? Why wouldn't you try and benefit other people's lives? Why wouldn't you try and give your kids everything that you never had, right? Mm. So it's I could sit there in my sorrows, but that does nothing for me. And the thing that I fall back into a lot of times is I look at emotions, anxiety, depression, and then presence, right? So my perspective of depression is living in the past, right? My perspective of anxiety is living in the future.
Yeah.
So happiness comes from the present, and happiness is never a destination.
How Buddhist of you.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, seriously,
that's Buddhist philosophy.
Yeah. And that's great. Yeah. I've written some books. I don't pay attention too much of whatever it comes from or whatever.
No, dude. Hey man, whatever works. Dude, it's so funny. I say it all the time in here, man. It's you hear things and I'll say things even here in the podcast and I'll think, man, that was really profound. And then every now and again, I'll tell you a funny story. Every now and again, I'll run into the person that said it first.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll think I had this, because it's just, if you're a student of life and other people and you listen to what people say and you try to get the most information that you can to better yourself and those around you, there's going to be bleed over of thought process and you can't remember what you heard everything. But I had Ari Mizell on here. And a couple weeks ago, Ari's great, dude. He is the master at efficiency. He's like the efficiency master. Literally wrote the book on it. And apparently I'd read that book at some point because I was like, here's what I like to do, Ari. I like to, I turned all of the notifications off on all of the apps on my cell phone, so I'm not distracted during the day. And he's like, oh, really? Where'd you hear that? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I thought I was about, he's like, or maybe it was chapter 3 of my book. And I was like, holy shit.
That's funny.
So yeah, dude, but it is. It's true. So listen, I say this, never apologize for spreading good information, regardless of if you don't recall the source. Never apologize.
Always remain a student, man. That's like,
yeah, dude, never apologize for that. That's good stuff. So yeah, but again, man, so many people like would have used your story and spiraled the wrong way. And you chose to say, okay, look, I'm going to make something out of this. And
that's the key though.
Yeah. You chose.
Like everybody has a choice. You could do whatever you want. Like, it's like that old like saying that your parents used to tell you, like, you could do anything you want as long as you put your mind to it. It's true.
Yeah.
You just have to choose to do it. Like, I could choose to be a depressed junkie and sit on the couch all day and do drugs, or I could choose to go make something in the world.
Yeah.
That's what I choose.
I'm going to, now that we're quoting other people, the movie Young Guns, dude, as stupid as this is, I always remember there's a scene in Young Guns where Kiefer Sutherland's talking to somebody about your past is like a paper book novel. When you're done with it, you throw it away and buy a new one. And I think that philosophy of being able to choose what happens next and not wallow in what happened before is really a difference maker for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So back to your story, you decided not to stay in the job that gave you no bereavement time, which is a little crazy to me. Decided not to stay in the job. What was the first choice, or what's your decision process now?
I was trying to open up a restaurant. I wanted to open up. I started with the Capriotti's, but there was no allocation for any locations here in Las Vegas left at that time. So I went to try to open up a Buffalo Wild Wings. You had to have $750K liquid. I didn't have that as a 21-year-old kid. I did get $80,000 for life insurance. Most of that went to like bills. I ended up getting a tattoo done of his like portrait and stuff, and I bought myself a truck. And then I went to a party one night, and I was talking to my buddy, and he goes, dude, you should just start a carpet cleaning business. I work for this guy that does carpet cleaning, and he makes pretty good money. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. A week went by, and I was like, I have to start something.
Yeah.
And so I called him back.
You felt the wheels starting to sink into the sand a little bit.
I had to do something. Yeah,
right? I got to get some forward motion.
And I tell everybody, I'm like, dude, whatever you start doing, it's probably not going to be what you end up doing. You just got to start, learn some lessons, and you'll adapt and transition.
Yeah.
And so I called him back up. I said, hey, give me your boss's phone number. Got a hold of him. Went and bought like a whole truck and truck mount, box truck, no air conditioning. And I told my buddy, I said, hey, quit your job, come teach me how to clean carpet. I'll guarantee you a paycheck of $800 a week, and we'll try and figure this out. That lasted, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8 months until I went broke. Because
Why'd you go broke?
I had no money coming in. I didn't know how to run a business. I had no idea what I was doing. So I had, my friends or whatever would pay us to do their house, just to kind of help us out or whatever. But I mean, I'm knocking doors left and right. Nobody's doing anything, I'm trying to get into apartments, all this stuff. And so it got to a point where it was like, I either need to shut down my business and go get a job.
Okay. Well, hang on, let's back up. So let's learn a lesson from this as we go along. So you hired your buddy to teach you how to clean carpets.
Yep.
But cleaning carpets had nothing to do with running a business.
Correct.
So you'd have been better off hiring his boss to teach you how to run a business.
Yeah, for sure.
Because honestly, the cleaning carpets, you could probably watch a YouTube video and figure that part of it out.
But again, young, dumb, naive.
But here's the thing, though. People don't understand that they think the process or the service or the product is so important, and they don't understand that understanding how to market it, understanding how to run a P&L and understanding how to actually make money and cash flow a business, that's the value of the knowledge. The product or process can be applied to anything.
It took me a long time to learn that.
Yeah.
Thankfully I did, by hiring coaches and mentors and all that stuff. But yeah, so I went broke paying him. And it was basically either shut down my business and go get a job, or I have to let him go. Either way, he was losing his job.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he was super cool with it. We're still friends. He just went back to his job that he had previously, and I just started knocking doors as hard as I could.
Yeah, because he can always just clean carpets anywhere.
Yeah. I probably knocked the door here at some point because I was going to real estate and property management companies. My thought process was, how can I get the most amount of work with the least amount of visits as possible?
Sure.
Right? So property management companies, apartment complexes, those kind of things. And so I got on with a couple property management companies, started cleaning carpets until I got to like $1,000 a day. And I was like, all right, like I'm
feeling better.
I'm doing okay. Like my bills are paid, whatever. But then, life happens. I had a baby, and then I started going broke again. It wasn't that I was losing business. It's just my lifestyle increased. I had a child I had to care for and all this stuff. And so I went to one of the property management companies, and I said, hey, I literally can't pay my rent this month. Do you have anything I could do? And the business license that I had was an R25, which is a handyman license. Mm-hmm. And it was like right place, right time. The property management company had a work order sitting on their desk. It was $2,200. And she goes, well, if you have a handyman license, you can go do this job. Our handyman just flaked. I was like, yep. Took the work order, went and maxed out my credit card at Home Depot, got all the materials, worked in that house all night and made the $2,200. And I was like, maybe I have some here, Mm-hmm. So we started working on properties, getting them ready to rent again, You know a lot about it.
Yeah, sure.
So going in, paint,
property
drywall.
Preservation is what it's called in the business, what you're doing.
So paint, drywall, tile repairs, carpet cleaning. Then we added on maid services. That was a joke. Just anything I can get my hands on, right? And
all right, well, stop for a second because this is another good lesson, right? When you're trying to scale a business, you can go deep or you can go wide, right? And what that means is to go. Let's say you have one thing that you do. You do, let's just call it painting. You're a painter, right? You can either go out and find if you're doing 1,000 jobs a year painting, the only way to scale is to go out and find 2,000 jobs a year painting. Or you can find out what your customers that you're doing paint for, what they also need. And then you can add other trades and you can start doing bolt-ons that can help them, your existing customer base, become a one-stop shop. For me, the best way to do that, I don't know what you did, but for me, the best way to do that is to find other people that are already doing that business and then say, hey, look, I'll bring business to you. We'll split the fee. We'll split the cost. I'll become the marketing arm. And then when you take over and you become 50% of their total business, well, then you say, hey, look, let's become partners. Right. How'd you do it?
The lesson comes.
The lesson comes.
You got to trust me, the lesson
so
comes.
We're taking the lumps first. Okay.
Trust me, the lesson comes.
All right.
My buddy calls me one day and he goes, hey, we fired our pressure washing contractor. Do you want the contract? Sure. I went out and bought a $15,000 pressure washer. No idea what I'm doing again. And started cleaning these gas stations. Just started learning. YouTube University definitely helped me that time. Started learning. So I'm cleaning carpets during the day, working on houses during the day, and then I'm out pressure washing gas stations all night. I'm working myself to death. And fast forward, quite a few years. This went on a few years. My wife, again, I'm so busy. I have no time to pay attention to anything. I'm trying to, run all this stuff. At this time, I have probably 8 or 9 trucks out on the road. We're doing bathroom remodels, all this kind of stuff. My wife goes through my books without me knowing. I was losing $20,000 a month, and I had absolutely no idea.
Whoa.
There was so much money coming in and so much money going out. I didn't even know how to read a P&L.
Where were you leaking money?
Materials, fuel. I wasn't running a business efficiently. I was overpaying on labor. Insurance was crazy. There was not just one thing, right? And so she's like, you need to figure this out fast. But it was like a constant game of robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah. Because
credit cards, right? So like everything that I was doing was pretty much on net 30 or net 45. So I'd get paid from those jobs, go pay off my credit card, and then use that credit card to go fund the next job.
Yeah.
And so it was just that constant game. But there was money coming in and going out all the time. It felt like I had money.
Yeah.
I didn't, right? And so just in 2020, end of 2021, we shut everything down to just focus on pressure washing. And this is where that go deep or go wide thing kind of funnels in, right? I only had that one account, which was at that time 8 stores because they had acquired 2 more. And so it was like probably close to $7,000 a month. was like, okay, I could live off this. Like, I'll figure it out. And so that was 3-4 years ago. And now,
let's take a look. So you were doing all this stuff because you started going wide with everything that you could do. And did you start? Here's a problem a lot of people have is they like to take all of their income and dump it in one big bucket, and then all of their expenses and dump in one big bucket. When they do this, so they don't understand what's actually working and where they're actually getting their money. They don't understand, like, every facet of your business has got to make money.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you got to get rid of it.
Right.
And so the problem is people, start dumping all of the revenue from all these different little services into one bucket, and then they don't realize that they're losing money because of this. And you could cut back, get rid of 3 of these things, save all of this time, and still be as profitable or more profitable with less headaches.
Yeah.
That's what happened to you.
CPA, hiring a good CPA and like a good bookkeeper to reconcile my books does wonders, because now everything is like broken out.
They started compartmentalizing revenue, didn't they?
I'm like, oh yeah, well yeah, and we have other services now, and I'm like, oh okay, like this is what's doing super well. This is what we can adjust.
Yeah.
So again, just massive learning lessons, but I don't regret any of those. Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm super happy that I had all of those fails, all of those lessons, because now I know.
Well, you were failing successfully, as I like to say.
Failing forward.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, I'm failing successfully, which I've done in quite a few businesses myself. So I get that. That's cool. So when you really drill down now on pressure washing, this is the best bang for the buck of everything you were doing, which obviously having a good accountant and compartmentalizing these things helped you see that.
Yep.
So you started just with gas stations, and now you're like, I need to grow this.
Yeah.
How do you grow?
Relationships.
Okay. So
everything is just relationships.
Shaking hands and kissing babies.
Yep. So again, same thing. I don't want to be doing driveways and stuff. So we're a commercial pressure washing business. So we service large industrial complexes, retail shopping centers, grocery stores, gas stations, hospitals, those kinds of areas that need to have that service done on a consistent basis, regardless, for 2 main reasons, right? So there's CAMs. You know what CAMs are, common area maintenance fees. They're paying that money regardless. Somebody is going to do it. It might as well be me. Mm-hmm. And then there's ADA reasons, coefficient of friction. If, let's say somebody walks outside and slips and falls, there's a thing actually called a tripometer that they can measure the coefficient of friction of your surface outside. And if it's above a 0.8, then you can get sued. You're liable.
See, does everyone know that owns commercial property? No.
We're working on the lunch and learns are a big thing. I don't know if people ever try and do lunch and learns here for you. Mm-hmm. But lunch and learns are a big thing. That's your time to be able to educate the client, right? So we're working on framing all this out now and building out the educational portion of our business to where we start educating the client on a deeper level. And
dude, I would make my marketing pieces for you. You're just brainstorming. Seriously, my marketing pieces would look exactly like the service of a lawsuit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it would look like. And it would say like, someone slipped and fell, your coefficient or whatever it is on your sidewalks is X or whatever you said it was. And now here's a lawsuit. They're suing you for $1 million. At the bottom of it, I just say, or you could avoid all of this by having us pressure wash your sidewalks. That's what, because literally that'd be like, holy shit. And now they're reading it and then they might be mad at you. I don't know, but it would definitely get me to read whatever you sent me in the mail.
That's not the only reason though. Like, look at your car.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to a gas station and step out in some nasty shit?
No.
Or do you want to, like, you don't want to have to detail your car after you go to a gas station, right? Like, you want it to be clean. So again, everything is marketing and marketing is everything. So it's like, you want to be able to attract good clients to your store so they can pump fuel at your store and make you money.
Yeah. So now, but now in that small time, right? Just since you zeroed in on pressure washing, now it's been 4 years.
Yep.
You guys are north of 7 figures in sales every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And relatively still small crew.
Yep.
So what's the plan going forward? How do you scale it? How do you scale from here?
Yeah. So it's so interesting. I love it. So, well, number one, we've added holiday lights, which is just fun, right? That was my way to tap into a residential market. It's seasonal, ton of fun. But as far as the pressure washing goes, we've been building all these crazy different systems to help us scale, which we've been building them by hand, right? So basically we have different tiered technician platforms. Once you get to like the 3rd tier, you're able to go out on your own and train another person. So we have 2-man crews. Once that other person is trained to that 3rd tier, they can go out on their own and add another person. So it's literally just like multiplying, right? So just Separating, adding, separating, adding. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Separating, adding. Here's a question. Like, I'm just trying to think of all the ways that if it was me, how do I market my pressure washer?
The commercial industry is so much different than the residential industry, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, but the commercial, I would maybe have have the name of my company with a stencil with my phone number, and I'd find a really dirty like parking lot or sidewalks in a shopping center, and I would just lay the stencil down on the sidewalk and just
yeah, we've done that.
Just pressure wash and leave my thing cleaned out of thing. How expensive is the equipment to test if the sidewalks are slippery?
The tripometer is about 10 grand.
I mean,
but insurance adjusters are usually the ones that have it.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
I know.
But what if you had it and you could like, hey man, here's a serious risk. If somebody falls out here, you're going to get sued because here's your numbers. Like, I'll give you a free test.
Yeah.
The free test of the tripometer.
It's definitely been a thought process. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it.
All right. No, dude, this is what we do in here, man. I'm just sitting here trying to come up with ways.
It's definitely been a thought process.
See, because now I'm thinking I'll get a tripometer. I'll send out there and I'll start sending you leads. And then when my leads become 50% of your business. Oh, TRIB.
Yeah.
Tribometer.
Yeah.
It sounds better, tribometer.
Well, that's why I say it.
Because isn't that really, I mean, that's really what it should be.
I know.
So now I'm thinking, see, this is my problem. This conversation right here, somebody asked me the other day, they said, because I've made a commitment to myself to not go to any of my mastermind groups between now and when my book comes out.
Why?
Because conversations just like this, because now I'm sitting here thinking about buying a tribometer and going out just generating leads for a pressure washing business instead of what I would need to be doing.
All right, here's what we'll do.
Because this is how my brain works.
Here's what we'll do.
Go ahead.
You do that. Okay. Go generate revenue, and then become 50% of my business will become partners.
That's what I'm saying. But I don't need to do that because I need to focus on what I'm doing here. See, this is it's so distracting. This is how my brain works. I'm just like, dude, there's a lot of money in this.
Honestly, though, like, dude, all jokes aside, service business it's never going away.
Yeah,
I truly enjoy it. I love being able to serve people, serve our clients, right? And it's so easy to just, at least now, add businesses to it.
Well, dude, it's something that, like, okay, for example, a friend of mine, buddy of mine, Todd Haskell. Todd, if you're listening, how you doing? Old friend of mine from back in the day from the restaurant business. Recently, and this dude was a lifer in the restaurant business. And I was so happy to see that he had quit, finally got out of it. He was a lifer at, like, managing restaurants. I knew him a million years ago when I worked in corporate restaurants. And he finally got out of the business and started a pressure washing business, and he's just doing residential. And I thought to myself, man, that's great. And how rewarding that must be for him after having to deal with a boss his whole life to now he gets to take care of him and do whatever he wants to do. And I guarantee just from watching him online, he's making more money than he was making running restaurants. Guaranteed.
Probably.
Just doing residential. So, it's so AI will never replace what you do.
Nope.
Just won't happen. You don't have to worry about ChatGPT taking over the old power washing space, which is awesome.
Some days, and there's also a big difference between owner-operator and having a business. But, I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this. Some days you just want to throw in the towel. You're like, fuck this, dude. This is a lot.
Well, I always say if you don't want to quit at least once a week and go work at McDonald's, you're not entrepreneuring hard enough.
Yeah, dude.
But here's the thing. But okay, I'm going to hit you with the can't clothier-ism. Here it comes. You ready? What would happen to your business if you just walked out the door for 6 months and didn't call, didn't do anything, just left for 6 months? What would happen to your business?
Continue to operate.
That's what I'm talking about. So
absolutely.
So you have a company, not a job. Yeah. A lot of people that own businesses think they own companies when really all they're doing is they're their own boss on a job.
And you want to know what? Now, for the first time in my life, it would continue to grow as well.
It would continue to grow.
Yeah.
So you made some key hires over the last little bit. Who are the key hires you made?
Business development managers.
Okay.
Yep. Sales, operation managers, somewhat of an HR spot, I guess.
Yeah. How'd you make those hires? How'd you find them?
I actually, for the operations manager, I went through a platform called Hirebus. Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm.
So have you ever done like a personality test?
Of course.
So it's basically a platform. The operations manager cost me $5,000. Mm-hmm. So I pay $5,000. It does all of the ad funnels and hiring for me, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's included with my ad spend on like Indeed and ZipRecruiter. You put out the job ads. They do all of the pre-screening for you. So you only get the finalists. So they do like phone interviews, Zoom interviews, all these kind of different questionnaires. They have to do a personality test. It's called a right seat score. Mm-hmm. So you have to test a certain.
And they help you come up with what those tests are.
Yeah. And so I get the finalists.
Yeah.
And then I interview the finalists.
And that's it. It was $5,000 to get this done.
Yep.
And the amount of time that you say, dude, the amount of time you would spend with that is insane. And getting the right person in the right seat is so important.
So important.
Nothing will sink your business faster than having the wrong people in the wrong seat. But let me say, I want to shift gears a little bit now because you and I have a similar kind of issue that we deal with. Very different, but the same. And both challenging in itself, which is for those of you guys that don't know this about me, I suffer from something called trigeminal neuralgia. It is a neurological disease where for periods of give or take 6 weeks, don't know when they start, don't know when they stop, just shows up, takes off. Effectively, if the wind blows on the left side of my face, it feels like a taser is touching me. I literally am getting electrocuted on the left side of my face. They call it, I have the suicide ailment is what they call it, is the nickname for it. So yeah, it sucks. And recently, Robert, I know last year we talked about it, but you got diagnosed with a neurological disorder as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in 2023, end of July of 2023, actually, because my son was born July of 2023. So 2 weeks after my son was born, I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Yeah. Cause we were on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Yes.
Right before that happened.
That was actually, I think, the day before.
Yeah.
Or no. The day, it was like the day before. Yeah.
It was right before.
Yeah. That's crazy. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was right before.
Yeah, we went surfing on your boat. That was awesome. But yeah, so July of 2023, my son was born. And basically 2 weeks after he was born, I started losing vision in my right eye. Not losing, but it just went super blurry. I got diagnosed with that.
Yeah.
There's a long story to that. I don't know if you were trying to get into it.
No. Well, no. I mean, the point being is this is again, it's about what you choose and having this stuff that pops up, you can use it as fuel or you can use it as luggage. And it just depends on it's going to go in the trunk or the tank.
Dude, check this out. So I was in the hospital for 6 days, right? Mm-hmm. Spinal taps. They pumped me full of steroids, Solu-Medrol. That was the worst part of it. 2 days after I got out, I was on a plane to Nashville for a business convention.
Yeah. Because you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, life's going to hand you a bunch of weird things, man. You just got to keep pushing through it.
Yeah. I mean, and we were just talking before this. It's happening again right now. Like today's like day 2 or 3 where my vision's starting to get super blurry and I have a bunch of pressure in my eye and I'm sure the headaches are on the horizon. They're coming. But dude, I still went to the gym this morning. I still made it here this morning. I'm still going to go work my ass off today. It's just like little speed bumps. They slow you down. They don't stop you. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit different, right? Like I deal with fatigue, loss of vision sometimes. The fatigue is probably the worst for me. You deal with feeling like you have 100 volts in your face.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. But at the same time, I don't even when it's going on, I don't call in. I'm still here.
Yeah,
I'm still working. I write down. I've now I have a note on my phone that explains what's going on. So when I'm out in public and it hits me, and I just have to stop for a second, and I just show people the note on my phone.
Can you not talk?
Oh, dude, when it hits me, like for that 45 seconds, you can't do anything. You're being electrocuted.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the fact that I can barely get my phone out of my hand, it hurts really bad.
What were you doing when this were you
the first time it happened?
Yeah, were you in a meeting or something?
Oh no, dude. I woke up and I woke up, I rubbed my left eye and got shot out of the bed. I just licked, I ripped the cord out of the lamp and licked it.
What?
Yeah. I thought I had a stroke. I'm like, did I just have a stroke? Cause you don't know, right? It's just so weird. So I immediately Googled, touched my face, got electrocuted, and it came right up. I knew what I had before I got diagnosed in 15 seconds.
So did you go see a neurologist?
Oh, dude, so many neurologists. Really? So many. Yeah, so many. And now for me, luckily there's a surgery they can do. So if it sparks up again, they're going to cut a quarter size hole out of my skull behind my ear and then go in and essentially just kind of wrap duct tape around that nerve is an easy way to say it so it doesn't happen anymore. And I've already met with the surgeon and he was very calm about it. He's done it many times, but yeah, that's just, it's no way to live because it's not like you smack your face. It's like if the breeze gets on it.
Really?
Like the first time this happened 2 years ago now, the Knights were in the playoffs. Walking from valet at Park to the arena when it was windy was almost impossible.
What?
Yeah, I'd had a hoodie. I had to wear a hoodie to every game, and I'd hold it down trying to keep the wind off my face. I have to hold it down over my face, trying to keep the wind off me. Yeah,
I'm glad you're doing better now.
Yeah, I'm good right now. Life is good now. All is well. But dude, the message is, I think the reason I wanted to talk about that is so many people, again, man, you're either looking for an excuse to succeed or excuse to fail. And I think through the course of your life, you've always found a reason to succeed. And nothing is going to stop you no matter what it is. And I think there's some magic in that. And I think if more people had that, there'd be a lot happier people on this earth.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I forget who says it, but I mean, you can have success or you can have excuses, but you can't have both.
Yeah.
I
think it's every father on the planet says that.
Yeah, probably. But I don't know, man. It's like, I don't focus on anything besides like where I'm going, like my ship is headed north. You can get on the ship. I'm not trying to pull you. It's just like, it's going to happen. It's not if, it's when,
Are you somebody that has written goals? Do you write your goals out? Do you do that?
No, I don't. I don't feel like I need to write them down because I just visualize them so heavy.
Okay.
Like I believe in manifestation. Like, do you know the red car theory?
Yeah, sure.
So
say it for those of you, somebody might not have heard it.
Red car theory. It's like if you drive a red car, you're going to drive around, you're going to see red cars everywhere. Like I drive a lifted F-350 dually. I see them everywhere. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you see your cars everywhere.
I don't see a lot of my cars everywhere, but when I do, I notice.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But that's because it's what you're focused on, right? Yeah. So it's like I try not to let these little things affect my day. Like Andy Frisella says, your bitch voice, it'll pop in my head for a minute. And I'm like, no, I don't need that. This is what I'm focused on. Mm-hmm. So I just focus on where I'm going, what I want. I could visualize, I could see myself being in the house on the vacations with the, vacation houses and the cars and, the perfect family and all that stuff. Nothing's ever perfect.
No.
But the visualization is there.
Bro, I'll give you a freebie. It's one of my favorite uses for ChatGPT. I have everybody on my team do this. People used to make vision boards where they get all these magazines and they cut bullshit. Yeah, that ain't exact enough. Dude, you can tell ChatGPT to create an image of exactly what you want. Like exactly what you want. The right color, the right this. You can put you in it, can do whatever. And then you have those images. If you go to the gym at my house, I've got a whole wall of visualizations of things that I want to come true. And a bunch of, I take them off because a lot of them do. Yeah. Right? Because every morning, as I'm on the treadmill, I'm looking at those things and I'm feeling like what it's like if they're actually have already happened, right? But that is like one of my favorite uses. So even if you're not like a big goal writer outer, dude, use that, bro. Especially if you're visual and you like to visualize that, use ChatGPT and just like, hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve.
ChatGPT's starting to be a game changer for me.
Bro,
crazy.
I use it every day.
Dude, have you built out, well, you have a bunch, but have you built out like your own personal assistants?
Oh, dude, I have nutritionists. I have my ChatGPT. I have a nutritionist on there that knows my macros and everything I want to eat. It's like I used to track all my macros on my FitnessPal and stuff. Now I just take pictures of what I'm eating and it automatically tracks the macros. And then towards the end of the day, if I need to hit a certain level of stuff, I take a picture of what's in my fridge and I take a picture of my pantry and it tells me what to eat.
What?
Yes, dude, it's magic. And then so in that nutritionist thing is also does my workouts. So I'll take progress pictures of myself in the mirror from the front and the side, based on my progress pictures, alter my workout to improve the areas I need to work. Do that. So ChatGPT is my trainer. It is my nutritionist. It's everything.
That is crazy.
It's wild.
Did you have to do a bunch of prompts for that?
No, I just told it you're my nutritionist. And literally the first time I said I've the scale with all of the stuff on it, like BMI and fat percentage and all that stuff that shows you the visualizations of everything in your body with the scale. And I just put all of that data into it. I said, I'm a 53-year-old dude. I'm 6'4", and here you go. Here's my weight. And here's all this. Here's my BMI. Here's my fat. And this is where I want to go. Give me a diet that'll get this and a workout plan that'll get there. And it gave it.
Yeah, but okay, that is a key though. Like you have to give it all of the details.
Yeah,
right?
dude.
Like,
You can't just say, but dude, you can take a picture of yourself and say, I want to have a perfect physique based on what you see. What do I need to do?
that's crazy.
People don't see. That's the thing that people aren't using enough with ChatGPT is they're not uploading images into it. They're not turning the camera on. That's where the magic is. Dude, we were at Carbone and I took a picture of a half-eaten plate of spicy rigatoni and I was like, oh, I forgot to track this. And it was like, oh, you're at Carbone. Yes, dude, it knew where I was. I think that's off my phone knowing where I was, but it knew where I was. It knew that was spicy rigatoni. It looked on their website, found the nutritional content for it, and then logged it.
That's
Wild.
crazy. The easiest thing that I found as far as like the business side of using ChatGPT for me is like basically just asking a bunch of questions on what I want. So like I built out 2 different personal assistants, a life personal assistant to make sure I'm more present and, you know, just being the best father I can, present with my family, all that kind of stuff. And then a business assistant. And I basically just said, these are the 2 assistants I want. I want you to help me with this, this, and this. What prompts do you need to know in order to help me curate this? And then it just listed a bunch of questions. I copy the question and then I just paste the question and answer it, paste the question and answer it. And now I have like 2 personal assistants that
I did something similar with the life coach thing. I said, ask me 200. I said, I want to find blind spots in my life of where I can improve.
Yeah.
Ask me 200 questions in every aspect of my life, like 50 in each, in 4 different aspects of my life, and figure out where I can improve. And dude, it asked me 200 questions about family, fitness, faith, and business. And it spit out a manual of what I need to work on.
Wow.
Like an 80-page PDF. If you need to work on all this stuff.
Damn.
Dude, I have loaded data from our company into it, like all of our sales data, everything into it. I load our P&Ls in where, you know, analyze this. Your job as COO. Tell me where I'm leaking. Tell me I'm doing this. I mean, if you're not using that for everything you do, you're nuts. If I have a difficult situation with an employee, I'll say, here's my situation. What should I do?
Oh yeah.
You know, because
I've negotiated contracts with it, everything.
It's wild.
Do you have any kind of fear?
No, I don't. In the space that I'm in, I don't. In real estate in general, I do not have it.
I mean, with ChatGPT,
like it taking over the world, or
well, just like uploading all of your information. Like I've uploaded like P&L sheets in there. Like analyze this. Where can I improve?
Because here's the thing: what could somebody really do with that data? What could they really do with the data? You know, I think if anything, the fear should be from. I think you're already seeing. If I was India, I'd be very worried. Pakistan would be very worried because all the outsourcers are done.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're just data entry outsourcers. You're cooked.
I wonder how VAs are doing.
You're cooked. They're all cooked. I have old VAs that I used for years, like constantly emailing me, sir, please, do you have any work? Because now I've just automated so much of what they used to do with GPTs or with the automations you can run within Google, that network within Google Sheets and everything else. I've just automated so much of it that I don't need them anymore. I mean, dude, my brother-in-law is in the software business, and full systems that it used to take him months to spin up for people, he can spin up now in a matter of a couple of weeks with no help.
It's crazy
because he's just telling it and it's just spitting the code out and out it comes. It's wild.
What businesses, like top 5 businesses, do you think that AI is not going to affect?
Not going to affect. Well, like I tell my kids all the time, right? Like the number one thing I try to teach my kids is by the time they are adults, and I'm talking about 30, right? My kids are 17 and 15. By the time they're in their 30s, the skill set that will be most in demand in this world is the ability to look another human being in the eye and connect with them on a visceral level. If you can do that, because their whole generation is heads in phones. Yeah. They're all like this, right? The ability to communicate with another person and reach them is still going to be in very high demand. But like real estate, like what we do. And this is not a shot at people that are listening to this to say, well, that's not true, blah, blah. Why, like you look at what Orbitz did to the travel industry. Like people kind of stopped going to travel agents as much. I still love a good travel agent, especially if I'm planning an elaborate trip. I love a good travel agent. So they just can't be replaced. But that industry as a whole got condensed because of Orbitz and those travel websites. The reason that I don't think real estate will ever get replaced like that, like Zillow trying to create an end-to-end seamlessly agentless transaction, it'll never happen. And here's why. Because the majority of people on this earth, when they're making the largest single financial transaction of their lives, they still need somebody there to tell them it's okay. Most people. They want somebody to say, this is the right move. Yes, there's a certain fraction of the population that can do this without realtors. I understand that. But a lot of people still like somebody to say, this is the right move. Like, I don't know shit about crypto, but I know a handful of dudes that know everything about it. And if I'm going to trade some crypto, I want them to tell me it's okay.
Would you argue asking AI if this is the right move would be a more beneficial thing? And the only reason I'm saying that is because it was on a commercial side, but I had ChatGPT negotiate my commercial lease.
No, which is fine. But here's what you have to understand. ChatGPT, again, at this current iteration, and it may become cyborgs, I don't know, but it does not have the ability to look another human in the eye and connect on a visceral level.
True.
Whereas I can look across the table at a first-time home buyer that's scared to death. Am I doing the right thing? And because in my heart, I know it's the right thing because I've done this 5,000 times.
Right.
I can tell them, guys, this is what you need to do. And they believe me at their core and everything is okay. Until a computer can replace that interaction, I'm not worried about it. I think it makes good people better at their jobs and it will eliminate the people that suck.
Yeah. Okay. So real estate.
Yeah.
What else?
I think as much as it can do for law, I think as much as it can do for contracts and everything else, I still think a good lawyer is worth his weight in salt. I think medicine, you're always going to need people to say this is okay, even though I think you're going to watch the advancements in medicine go nuclear in the next couple of years.
It's mind-blowing.
My good buddy Nick sent me a thing yesterday, and it was a company where now it's full genetic testing, and they can create an AI replicant of you in cyberspace from your genetic testing, and then based on they'll do your blood work every 6 weeks, and then they can say this perfect version of you should be aging at this rate versus the real you, and then they can make changes in your genomes with peptides based on what's going on, and it's like $5 or $6 grand a year. And my response, no, I think the full service is like $12 grand a year, and my response back to him was, in 3 years, this is going to be $49 a month.
Yeah.
Like that's how fast this is going. It's quantum leaps. You see, I think you'll see cures for some of this stuff. Hopefully things like ALS, hopefully things like MS will get cured because the computer can just compound and interact the data so much faster than we can.
Have you dove into, what is it called? Worms. What is it?
What?
Little worms inside your brain.
Little worms in your brain?
Not maggots.
Nope. You're losing me here, buddy. I don't know about the worms in your brain.
No.
Talking about the Neuralink?
No. Medicine. As far as like you eat sushi or whatever, there could be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
I'm drawing a blank. Whatever.
Parasites.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
There's a bunch of new studies coming out saying that like MS and other neurological issues
caused
by parasites.
Wow.
So I actually need to go down there today. But do like a parasite cleanse.
Yeah, dude. I
have friends that have had all of these crazy issues. They go on this huge parasite cleanse and they feel better than they ever have in their entire life. And they're literally urinating out parasites.
Oh my God, dude. I can tell you, I'll try anything like that. Like yeah. I'm game. I'm your Huckleberry friend. No, because dude, I believe that all of the things that we've been putting in our body and the environment is trying to kill us every day.
Oh yeah.
I firmly believe that, right?
Well, look at testosterone.
Yeah.
What was the average of testosterone back in the 60s?
What do you got?
Probably like 1,200.
Yeah.
Now it's 400.
300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but what does that come from?
Diet.
A lot of the women back then weren't on birth control. So the pheromones that they're releasing aren't as often or frequent or strong. Mm-hmm. All of these things are like, I mean, I'm not even going to get into the whole.
Because quite frankly, neither one of us is qualified to talk about it, but that's okay. Well, dude, look, man, I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. I hope it's inspirational to somebody that's out there that's trying to start a business, man. You can just do it, man. Just try, especially when you're young, right? Because even if you fail, you got plenty of time to figure it out and try again.
Yeah. I mean, what's the worst that happens? You end up where you are.
Yeah, exactly. What's the worst that can happen? You stay exactly where you are. And with that note, we'll see you next week. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Escaping the Drift. Hope you got a bunch out of it, or at least as much as I did out of it. Anyway, if you want to learn more about the show, you can always go over to escapingthedrift.com. You can join our mailing list. But do me a favor, if you wouldn't mind, throw up that 5-star review, give us a share, do something, man. We're here for you. Hopefully you'll be here for us. But anyway, in the meantime, we will see you at the next episode.